Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of the ACFO-ACAF Virtual Career Fair. I continue to be Joe from ACFO. I apologize if you've seen all of our career fair sessions and yesterday's spring tune-up. You're very tired of seeing my face in my basement. For that, I apologize. Don't worry. This afternoon's spring tune-up is going to be hosted by Danny Richard, our president, instead of me, so you get a different face screaming at you. You are not here to listen to me, though, so you are here to listen to our friends from Transport Canada. Just before I turn it over to them, I'll remind you that if you want to participate in today's session, you can submit questions to our presenters using Slido. That's slido.com, S-L-I-D-O.com. Just enter the code ACFO-ACAF, and you can submit your questions there. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our friends from Transport Canada. And first up is going to be Melanie. Good morning, Melanie, and welcome to the Career Fair.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you. Bonjour à tous et bienvenue. Donc, mon nom est Mélanie Coqueline et j'ai travaillé en tant que gestionnaire à transport dans la direction de la politique et système financier. Et j'ai commencé ma carrière chez Transport en 2002, donc ça fait déjà 18 ans. With that, over to you, Brad.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Brad Edgar with Transport Canada. So excited to be here today. Just wanted to start off by thanking ACFO and Joe for organizing this event and inviting us to it. Looking forward to it today. Kind of my story is in my last year at university a long time ago. I won't say the number of years, but I, like everyone does, kind of put in their resume to every single company and application and job poster I could do, and Transport Canada picked me up, and 17 years later I haven't found a reason to leave, so I'm looking forward to sharing our story today and a little bit about Transport Canada. But before we do that, I'm going to pass it over to back to Melanie to talk a little bit about Transport Canada's mandate.
Thanks, Brad. And even though you said you weren't going to say the number of years, you sure did. So our combined years together really shows that clearly we think that TC is a fantastic place to work. So Transport Canada is a medium-sized department, and its mandate is to develop and oversee Canadians' transportation policies and programs to ensure that everybody has access to safe and secure, green and innovative, and efficient transportation systems. Chez Transport, il y a plus que 6 000 employés répartis dans 6 régions. Donc, on a l'Atlantique, les régions du Québec, Ontario, Artienne, Paris, et Nord, et Pacific. So that's essentially the high level of what TC's mandate is. So over to you, Brad.
Just before I get into this slide, I think what's really kind of neat about Transport Canada, from my perspective, is internally we can sign up for an email we get every morning that talks about Transport Canada in the news, and it gives you every single article Transport Canada is involved in from the media the day before, and every single day there's dozens and dozens of news articles. So it's definitely a large mandate that Transport Canada has, and makes working here pretty interesting. So just a little bit about this slide. In the top right-hand corner here, you'll see obviously some information on Transport Canada's diversity and representation in terms of gender, age, etc. But what I kind of like about this slide is it kind of shows how these numbers here are the number of financial officers and how they're dispersed throughout the country. So Melody kind of mentioned the different regions we have, but not all departments have the luxury of having FIs across the country. So what I didn't say in my introduction is actually I'm sitting here in Toronto, and the team I'm currently managing is located throughout Canada. So I have someone in Montreal, in Winnipeg, in Ottawa. So it just talks about the diversity of Transport Canada and how we're located. The next slide here is just a little bit about how we're structured. So as Melanie mentioned, being a medium-sized organization, we do have kind of 4 different groups within headquarters, and then all the different regions. So what's interesting is I know throughout my career I've had the opportunity to do 3 assignments out of our Ottawa offices. One I actually physically moved, and the 2 other times have been kind of remote working situations, but I've always worked for Ontario region for the majority of my career. So it just talks about there's a lot of different opportunities and experiences to get within Transport Canada. And I won't go into this slide a whole lot, but this is kind of a high level mention of the different roles within the financial management community in Transport Canada. and some of the activities that we perform from, accounting to financial management, planning, to contracting, etc. So with that, I'll pass it back to Melanie.
Thanks, Brad. So in addition to all the things that you just spoke about, accounting and procurement and all of that, FIs at TC are actually working on some pretty exciting, innovative, and interesting initiatives, and we'd like to take a couple minutes to speak to those today. Both Brad and I are involved directly in these, and so they're our babies, we'll say, but we find that they're very, very interesting and a nice change of pace. At TC specifically, there's a data analytics initiative currently underway, leveraging Power BI, and we're hoping that's going to lead to predictive analytics. And Brad will give you a little bit more information on that shortly. But another key initiative that we're working on is robotics process automation, or also I refer to it as RPA. So what is RPA? Alors, qu'est-ce que le RRP? Mais le RRP, c'est un logiciel qui est programmé pour effectuer des tâches répétitives fondées sur des règles. C'est essentiellement un macro vraiment fort. So yeah, as I mentioned, it's like essentially a macro on steroids. And as FIs, we know what macros are. We play in Excel. RPA can be coded into various applications and systems. So it can be coded to go into your email, manage emails, move files, enter data, and search for information and perform calculations. So it is great for those high volume, repetitive, and rules-based tasks, such as data entry. And TC is currently leveraging RPA to manage our delegated financial signing authorities database. So that wonderful database that says who can sign for what for section 32, 34, and 33. We actually have a bot live that takes the acting memos every night and updates our database for us. In addition to that, we're working to automate the entry of payments for zero emission vehicles, so our ZEV program that we have at TC. And we're also about to go live with our salary forecasting automation. So let's see what slide we're on there. Yeah, that's the perfect slide. Thanks, Brad. So as part of our salary forecasting automation, we're also leveraging another application called Appian. It's an intelligent business process management, and we're using this application as our digital layer for our end users. This application will facilitate the input of and access to financial data for all of our managers and clients across the department. Donc, cette application permet aux utilisateurs de visualiser et mettre à jour les prévisions salariales de n'importe quel appareil. It's very mobile. Cela nous permet de devenir plus mobile. So following along the fact that we're able to work anywhere across the country, you can work off of any device leveraging this. So we find that pretty exciting. And as previously mentioned, we're also working on the data analytics, which just happens to be Brad's area of expertise. So I'll hand it over to Brad to speak to that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Melanie. Yeah, as Melanie mentioned, this is kind of a little bit of my baby. A couple of years ago, Transport Canada went down this path in regards to data analytics and having tools for managers, the financial community, and kind of all users of financial data kind of at their fingertips. So not sure how many people out there have played around with Microsoft Power BI, but a super powerful tool. And we're really kind of starting to bring this into our day-to-day activities, and it allows the users to have kind of a self-service tool. So one of the key aspects of it is you actually, once you build a dashboard, you can share it without actually having someone to have the software. So it's literally an internet link, and anyone in the organization at just by opening up their internet browser can get to the data. It's very interactive. So by that top of the screen, I know it's probably hard to see, but there's about 10 different slicers, so we can slice and dice our information probably 1,000,001 different ways, just at the click of a button, and you can see the data and drill down to any level of data that you want. We've been able to connect all our data to our data warehouse. So what that means is kind of timely updates. So we have data as good as the day before, so managers have up-to-date information at their fingertips, and we're slowly getting into more of the predictive analysis side of things, and really providing insightful information to the users. So there's a lot of opportunities within the financial community in Transport Canada to be part of building these tools, and it's a different way of doing business that we're kind of used to. So very interesting times here at Transport Canada. So just going to move on to our last slide here. So just in conclusion, we just wanted to talk a little bit about why we think Transport Canada is a great place to work, as well as some of the opportunities available. So what was interesting, in 2019, Forbes had an article on Canada's top best employers, and Transport Canada actually made the top 10, top 100. So kind of an interesting article there if you want to look it up and Google it. So we like to highlight that. We have some results of the Public Service Employee Survey. And the bottom left, obviously things have changed in where we're located, and everyone's kind of working, or for the most part, remotely. And how that changes after the whole pandemic will be interesting. But TC's always supported working remotely. So although it was obviously a change, it wasn't something new to TC. And as I mentioned myself, I did a 2-year assignment working out of our Ottawa office at one point, but sitting in Toronto. And I'm just one of many people that have done that experience. So with that said, I think Melanie even has a little bit of a story on that as well, and what positions we're looking for. So over to you, Melanie.
Thanks, Brad. And you're right. Yeah, in terms of remote work, Brad and I are perfect examples of that. I'm a prime example of TC supporting this. As Brad said, I've actually always been out of the TC NCR office, so headquarters in the National Capital Region. But with the recent change to remote work, I have taken the opportunity to move back to my hometown, which is a remote little town 4 hours away from the NCR region, and this was completely supported by our senior management. And so I'm working fully remotely, and my team is back in NCR. They're also working remotely right now. Some will go back to the office because that's their preference, but TC has very much embraced the digital first approach, and so it makes for some great work-life balance. As Brad mentioned, TC is always looking for talented FIs across all of the areas in our financial management that we spoke to, and to continue contributing to our transformation initiatives. As we mentioned, we're working on some pretty interesting activities and initiatives right now, and we're always looking for talent to help out with those. So we invite FIs with experience in all areas, cost recovery, capital investment, treasury board submissions, all of the FMA roles, to send us their CVs. But we also wanted to highlight that we are specifically looking for a senior FI with experience in policy expenditure, so expenditure policy, so for AP, iTravel, all of that, as well as an FI2 and FI3, 2 FI3s actually, for financial policy and systems, which is where I happen to be, and it is a fantastic place to work. So if that sounds interesting to you, please also reach out to us and send us your CV. Alors, envoyez-nous vos CV. Merci à tous. Et maintenant, on va prendre des questions. We'll take any questions that anyone has.
Great, thanks very much, Melanie and Bradley. It's interesting to see so much focus on some of the stuff Bradley was talking. Well, both of you talked about around Power BI and automation and stuff, and that's actually the theme of our first question. It's something that ACFO is trying to provide a lot of training on as well. We know it's the sort of the direction a lot of the work is moving, and that's actually the question here: is do you provide training on Power BI and automation tools? Since they're in such heavy use in the department.
Brad, did you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I got actually an interesting article, and it's our data analytics journey. I won't get into it today, but it's one of the kind of key pillars of it. So we have actually developed an internal Power BI training that's really focused to the financial management community. So really using our live data, our real data. We did explore, there's a whole bunch of external resources, obviously, that provide the training. We thought they were good, but they didn't always meet our needs. So that led us to do our internal. So we do share it with other departments. But the other exciting thing that we're doing is we kind of believe in the pay it forward. So Statistics Canada, so anyone out there from Statistics Canada, they kind of got us on the journey. And allowed us to progress, and now we're kind of in the process of meeting with other departments, seeing what they're doing and sharing what we're doing. TC, actually, stay tuned. We're actually going to be holding an event probably in December. We haven't landed on a date yet, but we'll be advertising it through the GC Collab. but we are going to be doing a bit of a session of some of the tools we've done and sharing our journey and a little bit of a training aspect of it. So yeah, we do train people internally, and we do share some best practices with other departments. So hopefully that answers the question.
It does, and I just want to let you know that we're also planning an event for in 2021, hopefully some sort of a demo day where we want to bring a few departments together. So I've made a note here. It says to call you later after the session and make sure we get all of that. Sorry, Melanie, I think I cut you off. Are you going to add something to Bradley's answer there as well?
Yeah, I'll just quickly add on, thanks, Joe, that Brad actually has a session scheduled next week for Power BI. No, I'm kidding, but he does. And in addition to that, we do also provide internal training for automations and coding RPA. We know that we are finance specialists, but we do have a lot of really apt technological people within the FI field and area, and my team actually knows how to code bots. And that's worked out really great for us.
That's fantastic, and it leads really nicely into the next question as well, is that are there any open opportunities right now in that data analytics work, and if so, what are the requirements for those positions?
Brad, did you want to take that, or did you want me to say the general spiel there?
Well, I'll take it.
Yeah,
generally, as Melanie kind of mentioned on our last slide, there we're always kind of looking for opportunities. So we're always looking for people with all types of experiences, but specifically data analytics. It is something we're starting to add to, because it's something new for TC, we are starting to add it to our job posters, as in most cases so far it's been kind of an asset criteria, but that kind of changes over time. We are kind of interested, so if you do have interest in data analytics, if you have experience, we are kind of always looking for people. In terms of the team that we currently have in terms of data analytics, it's we have short-term funding for it, as it's an initiative that we just hope will kind of spill into the way we regularly operate. But to get the ball rolling, we do have a team that we are staffing up.
And I'll just tag on to the end of that, Brad, that in addition to Brad's team that he has with the pressure funding for a couple of years, you operate in a really unique and amazing way. There's people from all across all the FI areas and regions at TC that participate in the TC Data Analytics Working Group, which is the short form is the DOG, and we just think I think that's hilarious anyways, DAWG. And everyone, whether you're working on Brad's team or not, has an opportunity to contribute and build their dashboards through that forum. So even if you're not specifically on that team, you can definitely get involved at TC.
Yeah, that's great. That's the sort of thing we'd love to hear about. There's a question here, and I think you guys have alluded to this a little bit through your presentation, but with obviously the increase in working at home during the pandemic, a lot of people are wondering about this. And someone's asking if it's true that transport is looking to keep a remote workforce permanently. I know this was a big subject on the public service Reddit a while ago. Is this something that is that the plan going forward?
I can start on that. So I can't speak to every single management area and every single directive, obviously, because it depends on the nature of your work. If your work requires you, if you're an inspector at TC as an example, which isn't the case for FIs, but as an example, you would need to be in the field. And it really comes down to the nature of your work at TC. So really, my response back is going to be a little more general than someone's looking for. I think the person who requested that, who put that question forward. But what I can say is Transport Canada has come to the forefront and saying that they will support a digital first approach, which means that if your work is conducive to working remotely, if that's your preference, it will be an option for you at Transport. That being said, like I said, it depends on the nature of your work and what you're comfortable with. I have people on my team who prefer to be in the office. I have people on my team who prefer to be in the office now versus once COVID-19 has been regulated a little bit and things are a little bit better. So it really comes down to your personal preference and what you're working on. But it is something that Transport has said that they're willing to support because they see a lot of benefits.
Yeah, and I think that's a model we're going to see more of, and I think that's the common sense approach, right? Is almost team by team, case by case to some degree, but I think we're all hopeful that the experience that we've all had during this pandemic has shown. It sounds like Transport was out in front of this a little bit to begin with, but Hopefully this has shown a lot of other departments that this is certainly feasible for a large percentage of the work if it's what the employee is looking for. This data analytics thing is obviously capturing people's attention this early in the morning. We're getting a bunch of questions about it, which is great. What if we just have a little bit of experience in data analytics, but are motivated and engaged to learn and put into practice their skills?
So my general philosophy, and not just kind of speaking for Transport Canada, is if you are kind of interested in it, we're excited to get your kind of CVs. Usually when we run processes, obviously it's kind of the right fit and what we're looking for at the time. So a lot of the jobs, as Melody kind of mentioned, our data analytics is more, we do have kind of a specific short-term team for it, but it's the idea that it's any job or role, it's kind of getting rolled into as a skill that you kind of need in almost every role that we have. So yeah, we're definitely looking for people with all different types of experiences, and we encourage you to put in your CV if you are interested.
That's great. And so we have one last question. I think it'll be a fairly short answer. So, and given we've got a couple minutes left, maybe I'll throw a question out that we've heard from several departments so far. So if you want to answer the question, are regional positions unilingual? And then maybe from there, if you just want to both spend maybe a couple minutes talking about just what it is that you like about working at Transport. You've both been there for a while. So what is it that keeps you interested and keeps you engaged at Transport? So the short answer, and then maybe a slightly longer answer as we wrap up the session.
Sure.
Okay.
So Brad, on the unilingual positions, I mean, we have unilingual positions across TC, and we have bilingual positions across TC. So it really depends in the nature of the position that you're in, but I'll let Brad speak to it because he's in the region. So.
Yeah, coming from a region, I think for the most part they are unilingual, but I wouldn't say kind of across the board. I know I'm in the Toronto office, and all our FI positions are unilingual. But I think when you get into our Quebec region and our Atlantic region, there's more of a requirement to be bilingual. And then when you get out west, most positions, I can't say this 100% sure, but I think most positions are unilingual in the regions.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind, though, is if we do move to more geographically dispersed and diversified teams, that requirement may evolve. If you're working from the Pacific region but serving NCR or vice versa, you don't know, right? But there's definitely some opportunities in both aspects, bilingual and unilingual at TC.
All right, and in 30 seconds, what is it about Transport Canada that keeps you guys there year after year?
Okay, I can go first. I've been at TC for a really long time. I actually started as a student as well, so if that helps gauge my age for everybody. But I've just found in my career at Transport that there's been opportunities and fantastic challenges that have kept me so interested, and hence my loyalty to TC. There's never been a time in my career at Transport where I've been bored, and I've worked across various FI positions at Transport. I did accounting operations. I've done corporate financial management, financial policy and systems. So I've seen a few of the different areas, and I must say that if you're motivated and you have initiative, there will always be an opportunity and a challenge for you to round out your experience at Transport Canada. I'll pass it over to Brad if you'd like to add.
Yeah, sure. I kind of agree with Melanie. I think the two things for me is the TC mandate, and then the opportunities and support from kind of senior management. I think Transport Canada, it's just so interesting in terms of some of the different files I've worked on in regards to say cost recovery for marine activities, and you really get to learn. Being an accountant, I don't really pay attention to I don't know the operational stuff, but you actually get to learn the operational stuff. So you learn about aviation, or last year Transport Canada. I'm going to use the wrong terminology here, but the one that's common to people, drones, for example, and we started implementing fees for licensing of drones and things like that. Really interesting different files, and you get exposed to the larger mandate of Transport Canada. And then just internally, the same thing as Melanie. I've had the opportunity and the luxury to work on a whole bunch of different files and opportunities. As I mentioned, I've done 3 assignments for our Ottawa office. our headquarters, and it's been great learning opportunity. So there's no shortage of different roles and jobs that you can look for. So
that's great. Thank you very much for that, Melanie and Bradley. I think you've made a very compelling case for people to be interested in transport. So as a reminder to everybody, if you go on the ACFO website, the same page, the virtual career fair page where you found the link to today's session, there's a CV template there if you need a bit of help preparing your CV, and then there's an email address where you can express your interest in transport. Just remember to take a few minutes, explain what it is about this presentation that caught your eye, what sort of positions or roles you might be interested in. And with that, I want to thank one more time Melanie and Bradley. You drew the short straw and had the 8 o'clock session, but you managed to generate quite a bit of interest and quite a few questions. So thank you very much for that. For those sticking around for the next session, we're going to be hearing from Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship next. So thank you very much one last time, Bradley and Melanie, and have yourselves a great day. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.